Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm back.
You're back,
No
huh?
more pretty views. Oh, it's always good to be home though, isn't it?
Yeah. It's good to have you home.
Cheryl, how are you feeling, dear?
I feel good. I'm just really tired.
Well, I guess what ended up being the worst part of it?
Probably just being tired.
Being tired.
Mine wasn't so bad. My husband's finally feeling better, and we went and got our antibodies test yesterday, and they've got both the kinds of antibodies, and I'm positive for one antibody and negative for the other still. So she said, I think you got sick after they did, so you haven't built those antibodies up yet. It's like, but honestly, I think just being tired has been my worst thing I've had to go through. So I'm glad. So.
Good morning, Renata. What have you been up to?
Morning. How's everybody doing? Well, I just heard. I'm sorry. So you actually had COVID? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, I'm
yes,
sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Yeah. Just it's a new year for everybody. Excited.
Me too. Me too. Very excited. Good morning,
Good morning,
Ted.
I'm sorry.
Good morning.
Morning, Jay.
Well, let's hang out a minute and see if anybody else joins us. Anybody got a new? Does anybody big New Year's resolution kind of people? No New Year's resolution?
I always take on new resolutions, and a lot of times it's trying to be more positive. And, it's not that I try to become negative, it's that some things tend to drag you down a little bit and cause you to become a little bit negative. And even though you struggle, I think it's still good to affirm a positive attitude. So
I agree. I'm a big proponent of a gratitude habit. So I think if you're grateful every day, it's hard to be anything other than happy and positive.
Yeah.
Good morning, Chelsea.
Good morning.
We're chatting while we see who's going to show up. Well, we'll go ahead and tell me. You guys can start. So fill me in on the week. Tell me what the most amazing thing that happened this week was, and if you had any challenges this week. And then if you have a New Year's resolution, Armand shared his. So Armand, why don't you go ahead? Tell me what fabulous, I know you've had lots of fabulous things going on this week. And Armand, bless his heart, he joined me every morning of my vacation except for yesterday when I got him on for script practice. Did anybody show up for you on Thursday?
No.
No. So Wednesday and Thursday, he had script practice by himself because I was gone. So where were you guys? All right, Armand, tell us all your amazing things today.
Well, I do have the listing for April 1st is when it's going to come on. So now I just have to find somebody for January, February, March so far.
Absolutely.
Yay.
Then I also have a quadruplex apartment building, apartment building, which I'm glad you're back because I need to ask you some questions about it. And I did call the hotline, but I didn't get as good of an answer as I would have liked to have had. Or I think that maybe I should have, but I did get an answer. So I've got that going. I've got another customer looking at a new home. So, and then I have 3 customers from next year that I've talked to and are all positive about buying this year. So, and should be the first half of the year, but I still can't plug where they're going to go yet. But
This is like an awesome pipeline starting off the first week of the year. So tell us about your fourplex.
It's off of Massachusetts Avenue. I don't know how many, trying to remember how many from Indianapolis.
Chelsea's the only one with snow today.
And it's not in very good shape, but it's low price for a quadruplex. So it has one tenant in it, and then it has a fenced area in back that has a tenant. The tenant upstairs does not pay rent and is in process of being evicted. The judge has given her another 2 months. So it's just trying to figure out how to deal with those things. I got to go back out there this afternoon to the quadruplex, and the buyer is going to be having a contractor out there to give him a price on how much it'll cost, how much he's going to have to throw in it to fix it up so he can get tenants back in.
So you represent the buyer.
Yes.
Okay. And so what were your questions?
The questions are around value. I couldn't find very many quadruplexes around town, and they were all a variety of different looking things in condition and
yeah, value for an investment property is really going to tend to they're going to be more about the income producing ability of the unit than comparable sales, because there just aren't going to be a whole lot of 4 units.
Right.
So what you kind of have to look at is what market rent's going to be, and then how much repairs need to be done, right, in order to get that rent.
Right.
So that's what you're going to want to be looking at, and you should have a somewhat of an idea as to rent, just because one of the units, whether they're paying rent or not, should have a lease in place, right? So you would have known what the prior owner was able to,
right.
To get a contract for rent, just unfortunately not getting rent paid. So those are the kind of discussions that you would be having with your buyer. So investors typically like that, I always call it the 10s, right? So if it is going to rent for $1,000, I guess it's really 100, not 10, but I always consider it a 10 because it's a gross rent multiplier. But you figure, if it's going to rent for $1,000, then it is probably, an investor would probably be willing to go to $100,000, right? So 850 is usually 85,000. That's the way you think about it in a single unit or a double unit. So, if you figure the way it sits right now, let's say they could get $500, right, for each unit, then that would suggest a $200,000 value just to start with, right? And then you could figure out what the cost is to get that $500, right? So if I'm going to have to put $20,000 into it in order to get $500 a unit, then I would probably be more in the 180 range. Does that make sense? That's the way I always look at it. Jay, pipe in here, because you've got some investment history here with your tenants, and is that kind of the way you look at it too?
Yes, for the most part. It just all depends on how much the person willing to pay for the property, and then you go from there. And then how much you want to put inside of it. Most properties need at least about $20,000 worth of rehab on them anyway. So if you're in Massachusetts, where I'm thinking that you might be at, even if you're getting it for over there for $80,000 to $100,000, and you put another 20 or 40 in it, you'll be all right. You can get $700 a month on each side. It all depends on what type of rehab you want to do to the property.
What's it listed at, Armand?
129.
129 for 4 units. Is it in really, really bad shape?
On the inside it is. Exterior wise, it's not horrible. It's not great, but.
And what was the renter paying upstairs?
Well, supposedly 600.
All right. Well, no, supposedly you should be able to get a copy of that lease.
Well, that's what he had asked her for was, or she had asked her for was $600. So far, she hadn't gotten a blasted penny from her.
No, but there should be a lease. If they've gone to, there should be a lease. So you should be able to get a copy of the lease.
Right.
How long has the current owner owned the property?
I think 3 years.
So in that 3 years, what's the rental history?
Well, the rental history in the 3 years, beyond 2020, everybody paid rent. So it was 21, 27, 30, 31 per 3,100 per
month?
month.
Well, that sounds like a great investment. If your buyer doesn't buy it, let me know.
Right.
I'm coming to see it if your buyer doesn't buy it, because that sounds fabulous. 129. My goodness.
Is it 4 separate units?
Yeah.
4 1-bedroom?
One bedroom and 3 2-bedrooms.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
That's a good investment. If they don't take it, I'm with Carla. If they don't take that, let me know.
Okay.
I'm in line first. So Armand, you can go back and tell your buyer that all of your peers are fighting over it. So, well, awesome job. All right, who else wants to share? Anu has big news.
Hi. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year. Share your news with everyone.
I got an offer accepted on my first home.
Yay!
Yay.
I didn't even know that. My news, that wasn't even the news I was expecting. So darn, now we have two things to celebrate.
Yep.
Well, tell them the other news, the news I knew about.
The referral.
Oh, you joined a team.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry. I joined it. So much has been happening this week. I'm like, wait, what news?
Look at that old news. That's old news. You gotta remember, I was on vacation for a week. I'm out of sorts here. Awesome. Well, congratulations on your first accepted offer.
Thank you.
Tell us about it.
So this couple, they started their search on Sunday. We put in an offer for a home and we put in a really solid offer, but they didn't accept it. Did some more showings, showed them another one, put in another offer. And this one was weird because this one home sat on the market for like 69 days.
Wow.
And they put in an offer. They were the only ones, and the sellers rejected it because they didn't want to deal with an FHA.
Mm-hmm.
So we were pretty bummed about that. They really liked that house. And then finally, third time's a charm. I took them to some more showings on Thursday, and that same day we put in an offer. The house literally just came on the market like hours ago. We went and saw it, and then ended up calling the agent, asking him like what was the most important thing to his client. And he was like, I deal with this guy all the time. I have already done 11 houses with him. All he wants is quick closings. So we hurried up and put in a good offer. I talked to the lender to see if she could bump up their allowance to $5,000 more. So that's what got us to win the offer, because we had to ask seller to pay all the closing costs. So they would have been like below asking if we had come in at what they were pre-approved for. So yeah, we won that.
Awesome.
And young couple, really sweet, and they were pretty stoked about it.
And where did they come from? How did they come to you?
So they're actually from Beach Grove area, and it was a Zillow lead, and that came into our team. And Barb had me out there with her doing the showing, and then she basically was just like super busy, and she's like, Anu, just go ahead and run with it. So she showed me how to like do the whole contract. Like she sat down with me and went through the first offer with them on the first home. And then after that, I just picked up like from where she left off and just kind of took off running from there.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So what about, do you have any challenges this week? That was just your
I
challenge
guess
too. It sounds like trying to find the right house.
the right house, and I guess the challenge too is like joining this team, because like as an individual agent, I was kind of already like starting to brand myself and like get myself all ready. And then now I joined this team and it's like everything has to be branded their way and whatnot. But just, I guess, learning everything and their procedures on the team is what I'm kind of going through right now. There's a lot of like things happening, like they're just trying to pull me in different directions at the same time. But I guess that's real estate.
Well, yeah, and you'll find your spot there.
Yeah.
Armand, what's your best advice to Anu having joined a team?
Well, I've given some of the best advice to her before she actually started on that team. But be persistent, continue to call people no matter what, because sometimes it takes several months, or I've even heard in some cases years to for a client to come around. If you're try to be genuine and try to be helpful to them through the process every time you call them, they'll eventually come around, or at least a good fourth of them will, but you never know where it's going to come from.
Right.
And one day they might not be talking to you at all.
Stop.
I don't think
Sorry,
she's
guys.
talking to you, Armand.
No, Armand, I'm
Oh.
sorry. I was muted. Don't pay any attention to me.
Armand, that's great advice. That's great advice for everybody. And that goes back to what we always talk about, right? You never know. They're not going to buy a house till they're ready, right? They're not going to sell their house until they're ready. So just because we are all ready and we want it to happen right now doesn't mean that they're ready. So that's really great advice. Well, Anu, that's exciting. Do you have a New Year's resolution?
Yeah, my New Year's resolution is to just like stay positive and just keep going strong and don't let any negativity come into my mind and cloud me, and basically make what I want to make.
Awesome. All right. Who's next? Who's got their win, their challenge, and their New Year's resolution if they made one? I'm not a resolution kind of girl, but I know that's a thing to do. So
Can I go next,
Mhm.
please? I need to apologize for Armand. I was eating breakfast. That's why my camera was off. And my cat was losing her mind. And I was telling her to stop. And then I was like, oh, crap, I'm not muted. So I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
I bet that sounded weird. So Shelly Gardner, Keller Williams, Louisville East, and I am on the Rhonda Roberts team. Okay, so a win this week. I went to a big wedding show, last Sunday, and it turned out great. It was a great show. There were 208 brides on the list. So in a 3-hour span, there were probably at least 400 people there, but they had them distanced. We were distanced. They were all going in one direction. So it was somewhat quite a bit more controlled than they usually are. I booked 3 appointments out of that show, which I didn't expect to book anything right off the bat. I expected to have to nurture it and work with it. So, and I expect I'll still do that, but I did book 3 appointments right off the bat. So that was incredibly exciting. Challenges this week, trying to get one of those appointments to call me back. She was all hot and heavy and now she's crickets. So I'm just continuing to stay in there with her.
She's planning a wedding.
Sure. I get that. But she's not getting married for I think the end of the year, end of the summer at least. But she was all hot and heavy to get this. She has a mobile home south of Louisville. She was all hot and heavy to get it listed. So I know she was doing some work on it. So of course I give everybody a pass. Everybody's busy. People have stuff going on. So I'm just staying with her. So that's my challenge probably this week, is just trying to get her to catch back up with me. Excuse me. My New Year's resolution, I also don't make resolutions. But my New Year's thought, or my thought for the year is moving forward. When something junky happens, like I call a lead that Rhonda gave me and it's a fax number and their email is junk, I'm like, moving forward. So I've been saying that a lot. So that's my my New Year's mantra, we'll call it. And was there one more?
Nope, that's it. Well, I think that the wedding show is a lot of fun. I think that so you get to do some more of those, right?
Oh yeah. So I'm in the Louisville Wedding Network, which is a group. It's a networking group comprised of wedding professionals who support brides and grooms. Wedding dress people and honeymoon people and hair and makeup and officiants, flowers, all the stuff you would need to get married. We have another show in February, one in March. I think there's 6 or 8, which is down. There's usually like 12 to 15 because I was in the group of 4 in another role. But I am pleased with 6 to 8. And then I have these I gave away all kinds of cute stuff. People were freaking out over my register to win $100 gift certificate to any vendor at the show, and you get to pick the vendor. People were freaking out over that. And then
so how many registrations? How many registrations did you get?
Well, we get the whole bride list, which is 208. I bet you had at least 100 slips.
So what's your follow-up plan?
So my follow-up plan is, I haven't done it yet. I need to put them all in Command. We don't use Command on my team as a daily tool. We have a different tool, and we don't use Command, and I don't really know how to use it. I sat through Command classes and all that, but if you don't do something with the knowledge you are given, it doesn't really do anything for you. So I don't really know how to use Command, and I don't really know how to get them in there. I know I can import them. They're either in an Excel file, but could possibly be a CSV.
What do you guys use, Shelly? If I can ask, what do you guys use?
What do you guys use? We use Boomtown, and we of course have access to Command.
Sure.
And we are encouraged to use it for, I don't know, Facebook leads or leads out of networking groups, things like that.
Okay.
But it's cumbersome and hard to use 2 major systems at one time.
Right.
Well, Shelly, here's the thing. Here's what
Yes,
we're going
ma'am.
to do is we're going to set some time, just you and I, and we're going to get them up.
Oh, I love you.
We're going to get them up and in, and then we're going to do a smart plan setup. And once you have that going, and you're just going to have to figure out, so you need to start thinking about, this would not be your normal lead follow-up smart plan though, because you're going to have like some conversation about your big day, and you know, like you're going to have to write a smart plan. You can go to the smart plan library and see if there are any, I was just going to search while we were talking, if there are any in there that suggest, I've checked Bride. I haven't found any yet, but you can write one. Then after you write one, you can actually share it. And then the rest of the company might also want to follow along. But this is a good thing for all of you guys to think about outside the box a little bit when you're thinking about your 3 to 5 lead generation sources. One thing to do if you like people and you like networking, right, is to find a way that you can take something that you enjoy or you've done in a prior life. Like Shelly was a catering manager. So she obviously is a catering manager. You know, weddings was a big deal. You know, there's not probably a whole lot of realtors at a wedding show.
I was the only one.
What's something else that you might like to do? Let's say you like to, I just came back from Florida. So let's just say you like to sail, right? And you live and you want to join the sailing club at Geist or Eagle Creek or whatever, right? Then you can network within that club. And because you could do this, right? You just have it on all the time. You know, people just get so used to that's what you do that you can get business that way and still be doing something. So it's like you're working and you're not or whatever. So, you know, as you're thinking about where you want your business to come from this year, it's just an option. It's an easy option for some people. Some people's thinking, oh God, I wouldn't do that if you paid me, right? Well, you would be getting paid, but that's neither here nor there. but you know, it's about picking that lead generation source that fits for you. Okay, who's next?
I'll go.
Go, Jay.
Can you hear me? So my win is that I got a new client, got him pre-approved, and we found a house yesterday. You know,
Yay.
so I thought it was impossible, but we kind of spoke it into existence. So that was kind of cool.
That
So
is awesome.
Yeah, we went and put it on, put the offer. We went and saw it yesterday. I already had the offer wrote up. So hopefully we're going to win it. And one of the main things that the agent says was they love the letter that he wrote to the homeowner. So the letter has power.
Yeah.
So I am happy about that. So I guess we're just waiting on the timing for it to come up for us to see if we actually got if we won or not. So that's my biggest win since it was yesterday. Well, that's one of my big wins. My other big win, like I said, was my mom got her house and everything. So we're doing the rehab part of her house now. So they tore the roof off of that, and they're going on through getting the roof finished today, getting the heat in there, put in there today or tomorrow, and then we are moving forward towards that. So those are my big wins. As far as resolution wise, just like what Shelly says, moving forward, even after some things don't go as planned,
Right.
Steady moving forward, keep going on to the next deal, to the next person,
Right.
figuring out the next situation, being positive, being happy, and having a good year. So that's my whole attitude for this whole year. Just being positive, keep pushing forward. Nothing can stop me, and that's it.
I love that. I know a lot of people really like resolutions, but I like having that theme for my year, like that constant thing that I'm going to remind myself over and over again. Who's next? Tell me something good. Nobody else has anything. There's Miranda. She's going to share.
I can go. So I guess a win that I had a couple wins this week. I talked to a new investor that was out of state and was in Tennessee. And so kind of talked to him about some of the opportunities here, but he's definitely, talking to a bunch of different realtors just to figure out what's available in Indianapolis. But he and his wife are both social workers, which was really funny because my husband and I are both social workers. So I felt like, it was just like a really random thing that we might have connected over some of the same investing ideas and kind of have the same background. So, and then I'd been helping a friend with some hunting land that was falling through because I don't think they realized they had to put 25% down for, a second piece of property. But the good thing is that kind of in the middle of that, they decided that they want to buy land and then just build a pole barn house. So that was cool to kind of get that more solidified. And I introduced them to Debbie Abel, who's in our office, and her husband. So they really, I think, are going to move forward with working with them. So that was cool. And then a challenge that I have every week, but was focusing on this week, was just being consistent on social media. And so I was able to schedule out Facebook posts for the month of January. So that was a huge accomplishment, and it didn't take me that long. And I feel like it was really meaningful content. So struggle, but kind of a win too, I guess. And I don't really make resolutions either, but I like the mantra idea. So I think mine is just to not listen to other people's opinions and not let that, stop me from moving forward. I know people have kind of said that, but not really. I don't know. I have a lot of negative family members and friends. So that's my mantra.
I love it. So on the investor, I love that you made a connection.
Yeah.
Now you have to remind them of the connection.
Yep.
We're talking to others. But the big thing with an investor, that's where we can't do that. Typically, we can't get that, exclusive buyer's agency agreement. But if we're the one that is consistently showing up for them, right? We're consistently, even if it's not something that they want to purchase, but if we just make a point of on a regular basis, whatever that would be. And I would even ask the question, so how often would you like me to send you things? Right.
Right.
Like, and so if they say, well, just once a week is fine, then make it consistent, like every Friday. That way they know that every Friday they're going to get something from you at 10 o'clock or whatever, so that they get into that flow. Because what will happen with other agents is they'll hit them one or two times. They want the fast, 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 right? They'll hit them one or two times and then they disappear on them.
That's a good
Right.
idea.
So figure out what they want. If they say they want 3 times a week, then they want 3 times a week, whatever it is that they want, then consistently provide that to them. And then the other thing is, use your MyBoard resources, the insights. And for you guys in Louisville, I'm sure your GLAR has the same thing. It gives you the statistics for what happened last month, that we have more days on market, or whatever the statistics are showing. I just got back last night, so I have not looked up what's going on right now. but what I'm saying is, you go out there and look, and then you can just send that and add value. I also love the Facebook post. That's what I hope that you guys all worked on in December, scheduling those out and getting your marketing plan in place, because if you don't, you'll get busy and you'll forget. Right? Which is where Miranda started with it being a struggle. Now you're set for January. Now I challenge you to put on your calendar the time when you're going to do your Februaries.
Right. Yep. Stay a month ahead.
Yeah. Because if not, you're going to have a hole, right? You're not going to get it done. All right. Yep. Anybody else got something to share? Win, challenge?
I don't know if I guess they're wins or challenges too, but my challenge was New Year's Day, that I did expireds. I did local, like 5 miles within my house, and there were like 8 that came up. I did talk with one person that expired, that is local, and she said her son just moved back home, so she's not really ready to list yet. But I did send her the link, and I did ask for the appointment to follow up with her on Monday, and I did. She said yes, she was able to open that link and get in there and set some search up. She was a little apprehensive about listing the house again. She was like, oh, I just don't know if I'm so ready to do that yet. And I said, well, I would love to schedule a time with you that talk with you about this and see how easy I can make that on you. Make that as easy as possible for you to do so. So we're following back up again this week on that. See what kind of search she's got set up, and if there's anything that I can help her with on that. And other than that, the other 7 were a lot of messages that I left for, and looking up on Been Verified to get the correct, phone number or an email address. So I did send a lot of emails as well. So
that worked. Who else? Did anybody else do New Year's Day expired calls? Armand did. Did Been Verified work for you too? You were both able to get in it?
I ended up using Spokio because I was more familiar with it.
Oh, okay.
I didn't look at the Been Verified until that day. So, and I just found trying to learn it, how to manipulate. And it was a little more than if I just went to Spokio. And I didn't have a whole lot of luck getting a hold of people. I did get a hold of one person that had their house on the market 7 days, and that is the house that I enticed a guy that I've had for almost the whole time of my career, and he's been looking for the perfect house, maybe 200, and I found him almost do exactly what he wanted. It doesn't have city water or sewer. Is the only thing that it didn't have that he wanted in the thing. Well, and that and the fact that he wanted a house with hardwood floors throughout. We didn't find that, but it was a partial. So he doesn't have to do as much as he would have, I guess, is the best way of wording that. So that's where I got my April 1st.
Oh.
So,
awesome.
In other words, that's another thing to reiterate that I think you've already said it, Carla, is don't be afraid to try to help somebody, to try to look for ways, how can you come up with what they want or pretty close to what they want?
It might take a while.
That opportunity, and then it might take a while. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Cheryl, on those expireds, the ones that you pulled up, just keep checking. You know, if they don't relist, that just means they weren't ready when you called, right?
Okay.
You have to go back to remembering that. So we want everything right now. We all do, right? But when we call and they don't answer, I mean, Shelly, there's nothing we can do. If they give you a bad email and they give you a fax number, then, you know, is that really the kind of person you want as a client anyhow?
Nope, moving on.
But if they just don't answer, they don't respond, then, you know.
Right. Well, I went ahead and on each of those that I had, like I said, there were 8 of them. And that was a pretty good amount of work that I did. I mean, that took me 3 or 4 hours that I worked on those. I did print the listing out, or the expired listing. And then from the bin verified information, I wrote down the phone numbers that they had, or the email addresses, or any other addresses on the back of those listings, so I could keep that information. And the lady that I spoke with, in fact, it was just going through different numbers that they said were possible for her, that I just happened to get a hold of a guy, and he goes, oh, well, here, I'll give you her phone number. So I was like, hey, yeah. Okay, great. And she was fine. She didn't even ask how I got the number or anything. So that worked out pretty well, I thought.
So set them up in your command, set all of them up in your command, okay, and put them on a smart plan that's about a seller, right? Okay. That way they're seeing, because eventually they've already thought about selling, right? It didn't work out. I mean, if I was on the market for 120 days and it didn't sell, I'd probably be a little like, ugh, you know, right? But
exactly.
But it's in their head, right? So then just stay in front of them. You know,
exactly.
put them on a neighborhood nurture. You know their address, right?
Exactly.
Put them on a neighborhood nurture so they can at least see what's going on in their neighborhood.
Yeah, specifically, I did myself. I was trying to do my neighborhood, which there's a combination of about 3 or 4 neighborhoods that kind of connect together. And then I did notice that on mine, I live in Whispering Trails, which is attached to the Commons. And when I went into the neighborhood nurture, it was coming up as the Commons, and I was like more so wanting to get my neighborhood. So I didn't complete all of that. I've done a lot of training this week. I've done a lot of the command. We're up to number 4, going to be on Monday from the Spark. So I've got all those printed out. I've done a lot of online training this week. I ordered little calendars that we put our business card on with the magnets, but I didn't want to go ahead and move forward with those having COVID, because I didn't want to get stuff on those. So I'm like, hey, I can work on my calendars now. And I picked up my business cards from the office that Devin went and set them out. I said I had to go pick up medicine. Will you just set that package out on the steps so I don't have to touch anything, and I will just grab it? So she set that outside for me. So I'm like, okay, I've got calendars to get out and ready to go now. So
here, I want to show you guys something just real quick, since you brought this up with the neighborhood nurture. Just remember that the neighborhoods were set up by Nextdoor, right? The Nextdoor app. And the Nextdoor app, if you know, when they were originally set up, they were set up by the people who lived in the neighborhood. So Cheryl, if it's not coming, you've got to blame your neighbors, right? But when you're here, you can add a neighborhood, right? So you can add a neighborhood and you can click find on map, and then you can zoom in, right? And then you can pick all the neighborhoods around you, right? So I could pick Homecroft and I could add that to mine. So just because the one that came up for you wasn't the one that you wanted. See, and for instance, like Forest Commons is a very different neighborhood than the rest of West Edgewood. But for whatever reason, the neighbors, the people who live in Forest Commons, nobody went in and set them up, right? So when somebody put the boundaries, Forest Commons shows up as part of West Edgewood, and it probably shouldn't, but that's just the way it is right now. When it first came out, people complained a lot about it. And I suppose if you live in a rural area, it makes it really difficult because there aren't any neighborhoods. And so they're going to add the feature where you can draw your own, but you can see why that's not a high priority. We have other things that we want command to do, but yeah, you can definitely do that. So yeah, if you pull it up and there's nothing in that neighborhood, then add the neighborhood next to it, right? It's still next to it and it's going to be close it's going to make sense. They're going to identify the names of the streets and the maybe even the house, and they might have even driven by and saw the sign, right? So it might work out. All right. Anybody else got win challenge resolution to share?
Yeah, I can go.
Go.
Okay, let me start with my challenge.
Okay.
So I started my own business. I got all the approval stuff. And I'm super overwhelmed. And it's because it's my first business and everything. It's like overwhelmed with joy though. So I guess that's probably the biggest challenge, like getting all that stuff together and all that. So my win is I have a pre-approval this week and I have a rental. So that was just application was put
from the
in.
listing side or from the rent from the lessee side?
The lessee side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you found them something?
Yep. They put
Oh.
the application in yesterday.
Awesome. Very fun.
Yep. So I'm doing rentals too. I'm doing it all.
Now you're back to your challenge. What did you mean by you got approvals and you got
Okay. So I have my business name, my EIN number, things
okay,
like
so
that.
you went with an LLC?
Yes, LLC. Yep. I haven't like blasted it out everywhere yet because I want to get all the kinks in and I'll, figure it out. But yep, I have all that.
That's a win.
That's so fun.
I guess it's both wins.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
I love that.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have an LLC set up?
I set one up.
Tamika does, Renata does.
I do.
Anu does. Very cool. I never did it for my real estate business. I have multiple other ones, but my investment properties. Who else has investment properties? I know Jay, you have investment properties, don't you? When you get investment properties, I highly recommend the LLC. I will say that for sure.
I definitely want to do that and do business under the name or however I need to do that. But yeah, that's my goal for this year is to have at least 1 or 2 rentals under me. So yeah.
And this is not legal advice, but my recommendation on the rentals, because I didn't do it right the first time, is that I set up an LLC now for each property. So that way they all are, because remember what an LLC is about is a limited liability.
Mm-hmm.
So if something happens at one rental, it wouldn't affect the others. So I have a different LLC for each of my rental properties.
I never even thought about that. Thank you.
Carl, we're looking at doing a trust. Have you done a trust yet?
I have not. Mm-mm. I have a great attorney though, if you need one.
Okay.
Who can help with that? All right. Anybody else got something to share before we move forward? Tamika, I know you've got like all kinds of things to share.
Yes, I do. This week has been amazing. I think when we talked, I told you I had started the Miracle Morning.
Miracle Morning.
So I started that, setting my intentions, and things have been happening too. So just making sure that I have setting my intentions and writing down my goals and pushing forward and following through and being intentional about the things that I want to happen. So I did get, I got 5 buyer agreements signed last week. I got 2 pre-approvals, a listing.
Come on now, look at you.
And I have 2 buyer appointments.
Yay.
So how's Miracle Morning? Tell us how that's going.
I'm struggling, but I'm still doing it. It's just a matter of learning to give myself grace. And sometimes you're going to get some things done. Sometimes you're not. Just long as you're proactive. It might not be everything in the morning. Sometimes if you miss something, just make sure you go back to it. But the being intentional part is making a big difference. I usually try my best to be intentional most of the time, but sometimes we skip days. But doing it every day and setting your intentions, I think it works a lot more. And then sometimes I know, I am a believer, and sometimes that God is waiting on us to move. then when we don't move, he can't give us what we asked for because we're not moving. So it seemed like once I moved, he'd be like, "Oh, I was waiting on you. Here you go. So you ready now?" So I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready now." So it's just a matter of once I took those steps, it's like everything start happening after that. Even I've been getting calls all week.
I love that. So she wrapped up her New Year's resolution, everything all in one little package. And by the way, Tamika, while I was on vacation, Zach sent your video. So I will send that to you this afternoon and you can get that posted out there. So that's awesome. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else have win, challenge, or New Year's resolution they want to share? Yes, Miss Chelsea.
Yes, on New Year's Eve, I had a client who signed a purchase agreement for a new build of a new home.
Yay!
Yeah, so that was really exciting. And then I just met with them again this week, and they've got a condo, so we're gonna get that listed hopefully next week.
Very cool. And where did they come from? How did they come to you?
Yeah, I mean, I just work internet leads right now, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that was an internet lead. Now, how many times did you have to call them?
These ones were a bit better, but I've been working them since early November. So yeah, they were kind of all over the place and we just try to narrow it down a bit. But they're still a bit unpredictable, but we're just moving with them. So
aren't people unpredictable?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, so that was really good. And they also have a home to sell as well. So
that's a twofer. That's awesome.
Now it'll be 3, right? So.
Oh, they have a home too. They have a condo and a home.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's really good. Yeah. And then another one for me is that I went on my first listing appointment by myself. Usually Rhonda will come with me. So I did that yesterday. This man really was not looking to list. He was just looking for the value of his home and kind of just hoping we could keep him in mind and bring a buyer by. But, I'll just stay in touch with him and see if he changes his mind on that.
Well, that means he cracked the door. So that's a really positive thing. Like he's cracked the door and he's thinking about it. Now you just have to help him, shove him through the door.
Right.
Very cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Did you make it? Are you a resolution girl?
No, I'm not. But it's kind of been since last year, but this year too, just to keep in mind that I just want to have fun. Like I don't know, I did a lot of things already in my life that weren't fun. And now I'm like, if it's not fun for me, I don't want to do it. So
speaking of fun, did you guys have snow? Did I see that?
Yeah, yesterday.
So you don't still have snow?
Oh, we do. Yeah, we do. But I think it snowed yesterday. I don't think it snowed last night.
Well, I saw it when I was when I got home last night on, I think Cheryl's Facebook, maybe. So we didn't get any snow. Isn't that funny? When they got snow in Louisville and we didn't get snow. Did you see what North Carolina got? They got tons of snow. Awesome. All right. Anybody else want to share? Okay. Nobody else wants to share. Can everybody get a piece of paper out? You're actually going to need 2 pieces of paper today. So while you're getting a piece of paper, you might as well get your second one out too. Just in case. So on your first piece of paper at the very top, hopefully you're clear on what your goal is for 2021. We spent most of November and December working on goals. At the very top of your paper, I want you to write what your 2021 goal is, business goal. And that could be the number of homes you want to sell. That could be the amount of money that you want to earn from your real estate business. That could be the number. We've broken it all the way down to the number of times every week we have to ask for an appointment. Whatever you want, however you think of your goal for the year, write that down. Who has not done their GPS in 411?
What's that?
So you haven't done it. That would be yes, you haven't done it. If you don't know what it is, then you haven't done it. All right, January, we're going to get these done. We're going to get our GPS and our 411s done. So if you don't know what that is, in your Indy Metro PC folder in the drive, so go to the shared drive and go under goal setting and pull out the GPS and the 411. And before we have our one-on-one in January, I want you to take your stab at it, get it filled out, and we will work on it together then. That's what our goal is in January. We have to have a roadmap. We are not going to get to our destination. You just wrote your destination at the top of your page, right? If you don't know what streets to take and how many turns you have to make to get there, if you don't know how to get from my house to your house, right? I don't know the directions to get there, I'm not going to make it. So we have to have that. All right. So underneath your goal, I want you to write 3 things that you're going to do this year to make sure that you hit your goal. So these big things, this doesn't have to be little tiny, it could be big things, it could be little things, whatever you want it to be. But it could be, it could be a mantra thing. It could be, I'm going to lead generate for 2 hours every day. It could be, I'm going to keep a positive mindset. Whatever the 3 things is that you are going to make sure that you do consistently so that you can hit your goal. All right, has everybody got that? Need more time? Now, are those 3 things something that you have to do daily? So can you post this somewhere so that you remember what you have to do every day and why you have to do it? So underneath those 3 things, I want you to write 3 reasons why you want to meet that goal, or 3 things that would change in your life if you met that goal. So if you met the goal, if we are setting it December 31st of 2021 and you have hit your goal, how will your life feel different, be different? How will you be different? What will you have in your life that you don't already have?
Like I got everything.
Well, you're working towards something, Tamika, and I know what it is. It could be I'm going to be one step closer to my big why, right? That could be what it is. Could be I have more free time, right? Whatever it might be for you. If you got that, get your second piece of paper out. And put today's date at the top. You're going to write a letter.
Did you say we're writing a letter?
You're writing a letter. So put the date at the top like you're writing a letter, then write dear. So Shelly, you're going to write dear Shelly, and Armand's going to write dear Armand. So you get the gist. You're going to write a letter to yourself. This is a thank you letter. Okay. So pretend like it's December 31st and you're going to write yourself a thank you letter for doing the first 3 things, right? So that you met your goal, so that the next 3 things are the things that you have in your life. Does that make sense?
Is this on the second piece of paper? My
That's on a
audio
second piece of
disconnected.
paper. Yep, you're writing yourself a
Okay,
letter.
awesome.
Can you say that again?
So you'll write yourself a letter. It's a thank you letter. You're going to write yourself a thank you letter, thanking yourself because it's December 31st of 2021. And you're going to thank yourself for having done the first 3 things that you identified consistently so that you hit your goal, and make it specific, right? Thank you for doing items 1 and items 2 and items 3. You know, we hit our goal of X, and this is the 3 things that changed in our life because of it.
I love this, by the way. This is great.
Good. We're going to spend some time. So I want you to write it. And if I leave it to you for an assignment, it won't get done. So we're going to do it. And then here's what's going to happen. I'm going to send an envelope to Amy and to probably Laura. I don't know. So I'm going to send one to the Northeast office. I'm going to send envelopes in the South office. You're just going to put it in my mailbox, right? So you're going to put your letter, when you get it all done, you're going to put it in an envelope, and you're going to put your name on the front of the envelope, and you're going to send it to me, and then I'm going to mail it to you next year. So that's the rest of it. But you got to write yourself a thank you note, because you're thanking yourself for what you're going to do this year as if you've already done it. Hello, Meredith. Everybody's writing a letter to themselves. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background so you can jump in. You need 2 pieces of paper, Meredith.
Okay.
At the top of the first piece of paper, you're going to write what your goal is for 2021.
Okay.
Now under it, you're going to make 3 things. And these are 3 things that you're intentionally going to do that will make sure that you hit your goal. You got that? Now you're going to write 3 things under that would change with your life if you hit that goal. So change with you, change with your life, 3 things that would be impacted if you hit your goal next year. All right, Meredith, you got that? All right, now on your second piece of paper, you're going to write yourself a thank you letter. You're going to imagine that it's December 31st of 2021, and you're going to write yourself a thank you letter, thanking yourself for having done the first three things to reach your goal and identifying how your life has changed with those third three things. So you're going to write yourself a thank you note saying, thank you for these three things that you did, and be very specific in your letter. These three things that you did this year so that we hit this goal, and this is how our life has changed. So when you have that done, and I didn't get, because I didn't get back until late last night, I didn't get the instructions out for you guys to have an envelope, but I hope everybody has an envelope at home. When you get this all done, you're going to put your thank you note in an envelope, and you're going to address it to yourself, right? And then I'm going to get you guys an envelope to mail it to me. Or in the South office, you're just going to pop it into my mailbox.
Should we put our mailing address on it along with our name?
Yes, wherever you'd like me to mail it to next December. They do this in bold, a little bit different. I've changed it for the new year because we haven't been in bold, right? But they do this in bold, and it is one of the coolest things when you get this letter. And it's so weird because you get a letter and it's addressed to you in your own handwriting, and you really don't really remember having done it. And it's really cool when you read it.
Do you want us to put a stamp on that too?
No, you don't have to put a stamp on it.
Okay.
The stamp will be my gift to you next year.
Hey, Carla, speaking of gifts, at the Keystone office, oh my gosh. Can you hear me?
Yes.
At the Keystone office, there's still a bunch of gifts that need to be picked up. So I don't know if you want to send a message out to everyone reminding them to pick it up.
Oh, did anybody not get their trunk kit from me?
I got
Very
it.
helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was funny.
Yeah.
Well,
What's that?
it's funny, and the toilet paper kind of has a double-edged meaning, right? Because now if you ever have a panic and we end up with a toilet paper shortage, you got to roll. The reason for that is these are the things that I keep in my car that I learned over the period of time. And I'll tell you what, when you have a couple and a small child out showing a house, and the child's doing the pee-pee dance, and there is no toilet paper in the house, and you say, no problem, I have some in the car, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, right? The only thing I couldn't find for you guys, and it needs to go in that kit, is a small can of WD-40. And I would put that in that kit and then put it in the trunk with everything else. And then I think you've got everything that you need, that your buyers would need while you're out showing houses, that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise. So
Thanks for that, Carla.
Thank you.
but if you don't have yours, go pick it up, because I got the Louisville one sent out a little late, but all right, I'm going to give you a couple more minutes to finish up your letter. And I'm going to step away for like 2 seconds. I have a very angry cat who's outside who would like to come in, and he is just throwing a fit. So I'll be right back. He didn't get to go out for a whole week, so he was very excited this morning to go out and wasn't ready to come in when I
Carla, what's the WD-40 for?
So when you get to a house and you need it, you're going to know it. That's when you get a lock and the key does not open the lock and you just can't get you Jimmy, and it doesn't work. Just spray a little bit of WD-40 in there and the key will turn like magic. I will tell you that I've done that on listings too. Like I had a listing and they give me the key and the key just really doesn't work. And I just spritz a little bit of that in there. So then everybody, the buyers come and they aren't going to have a hard time getting the key in the door. Has nobody had that yet where they couldn't get the door to unlock?
No, might not be able to
Oh, yeah.
open, but not the door unlocked. Yeah.
Did you guys know the story about that there was an agent in our office that went to show a house and there were cat bowls on the porch and there was a cat, wandering around or whatever. So after they showed the house, the cat wanted in, so she let the cat in, locked the house up or whatever. Wasn't their cat. So don't let foreign kitties in. That'd be such a me thing to do because I'd be worried about the kitty outside in the cold, right? Like it looked like it belonged there. So funny. Come home and have a random cat in your house. All right, everybody got your letter ready?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm excited because I've got something put together that I think is going to be really fun for us. Has anybody seen this book?
No.
Well, on your growth plan, if you're thinking about things to read, I highly recommend this. This is about goal setting, and it's about get more done in 12 weeks than other do in 12 months. So you guys just wrote down your goal at the top of your page. That's what you'd like to get accomplished in the next year. What if you accomplished that in 12 months? Or in 12 weeks? What would the rest of your year look like?
Amazing.
Right? So what if you laid all the groundwork in the next 12 weeks so that in the second 12 weeks you hit that goal? How's that going to feel? Pretty good, right? We know for sure we're going to hit our goal that way. So the productivity coaches that I am in a group with, we all got together and we put together a 12-week to cap plan. Now, I know some of you guys aren't on a capping model. If you're in the KW My Way and you're in the supported or in the enhanced, well, if you're in the enhanced, there's a cap. But if you're in the supported, there's not. But it's still, I think it gets us down the point. And so you may need to make some adjustments based on what your goal is, because obviously maybe not everybody's goal is obviously everybody's goal is not the exact same thing, but you're going to get the idea. But we're going to do this year in 12-week segments. So we're going to have 12 weeks and then we're going to have a week break, and then we're going to have 12 weeks and we're going to have a week break. And that's the way we're going to do the rest of this year in our segments. And we're going to work during those 12 weeks to try to do everything that we can do to hit our annual goal in that 12-week period. So I'm going to share my screen with you and show you what we put together. And you guys get to decide, if this is something you want to participate in. It is not mandatory, but I think you'll see why I'm pretty excited about it. All right, so starting on Monday, we're going to have a daily huddle at 8:15. So if you can join, I'd love to have you come. And we're going to do exactly what Tamika's been talking about, is we are going to set intentions for the day, every day. We're going to set our intentions. This is what we're going to do. So we're going to do a morning huddle from Monday through Thursday. We're going to report our numbers from the day before, and we're going to set our intentions for the day. And then on Friday morning at 8:15, we're going to have a gap call. Tell me what a gap is. Anybody got an idea? So your gap is what you were supposed to do this week, what you got accomplished. The difference between the two is your gap, right? That's what we either have to get done on Friday or we're going to have to add it to the following week, right? We do have daily script practice. And I don't know why it says 8:30 to 8:45, but it's actually till 9 o'clock. So that must have been somebody else's that I didn't get changed. So we're going to have our script practice. We're going to have 25 phone conversations every day. That's our goal. We're going to create 10 new opportunities. Remember, an opportunity is anytime we talk to someone and they say, yes, they'd like to buy a home, they're just not ready right now. That's an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity to make money. We are going to have 25 social media interactions. We are going to work towards having 3 Facebook Lives or 2 open houses every week, write 10 handwritten notes a day. And at the end of week 1, we want to shoot for having 200 contacts in our database with email. We're going to attend 2 appointments. And if we don't have 2 appointments, then we're going to add 10 conversations per day. And then we're going to attend the PC Saturday workshop. And then a bonus, you can run 2 Facebook ads. And if you want to participate in this program, you're going to get a 15-minute one-on-one every week. Instead of our 30-minute one-on-ones once a month, you'll get 15 minutes every week. So if you decide you want to participate in this program. So this is going to run for 12 weeks. And there's a whole 12-week plan. And there are points. So there are points. So rules. Texting only counts as a conversation if a response is received. Okay, so you can text. It doesn't have the conversations don't all have to be phone calls. They can be 2-way texts. And then goal shortcomings for the week, they get added to the following week. That's for the gap. So you get points. So if you attend Friday's call, you get 100 points. If you miss script practice, you lose 50 points. If you have your 120 conversations, you get 100 points. You get points per opportunity in command. Look at that. You get 100 points for every opportunity you add in command. So you can really rank up your points there. So your goal contacts in command with phone, email, address, you get 1 point per contact. You get 500 points for every appointment you schedule. You get 500 points for every buyer's agency agreement you get signed. And you get 1,000 points for every listing agreement you get signed. And at the end of each week, the agent that has the most points is going to get $25 to run a Facebook ad to get some more leads. So this is designed so that at the end of 12 weeks, you should have 12 closings scheduled. They aren't going to have closed yet in the first 12 weeks, but you should have 12 closings on the books. There's a calculation at written volume. That's going to vary a little bit for everybody's market center and everybody's average sale price, but that's an average. So that's going to put you at $62,000, roughly $60,000 in income if you followed this for 12 weeks is what we anticipate would happen. So that would put you with your net commissions at $35,000. Who would like to make $35,000 in the first 12 weeks? So this is the roadmap for that. There is a little bit of cost to it. And the cost is really just your postage and your cards to write your handwritten notes, right? And then at the end of 12 weeks, we're going to have a party. And we're going to celebrate the top, who was, how it worked out. So I'm going to leave this up. I'm going to go back up to week 1 and I want to talk about this now that I've introduced it. I want everybody to tell me what they're thinking, feeling, thoughts, feedback, excitement, dread, no way. Tell me what you're thinking.
Oh, I think it's challenging. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Tell me more about that.
It's just a lot.
What is different in this than what you're doing now?
I would say being accountable for all the different times would be my thing. Early in the morning.
So the daily huddle, if you go back to the points, right? The daily huddle, that really the Friday gap call is the only one that gets you points. So, I want you on at 8:15. I want you to tell me what'd your day look like before. If you can't be on at 8:15, all you have to do is text me your numbers the day before.
So like what if we can do half of everything that's on there?
Yeah, I think the 25.
Okay. So I have a question for you.
Okay.
If you do half of everything that's on here, then let's go down here to the bottom. If you do half of everything that's on here, and you earned $17,000 in the first 12 months of the year, how's that work out for you?
I mean, that's still cool. I mean, I would
Because
like to
that
make
might
more,
be
of course.
somebody's goal. That may exceed somebody's goal, right? So if you were to do this, I don't have as a calculator. If you were to do this with me for all 4 quarters, right? Because basically 12 weeks is a quarter. So this has you earning 376 times 4. So if you followed this formula, you would earn 140. That way you would earn more than that because you would have capped. But you would earn over $150,000 a year. Some of you guys may not have that as your goal, and that's fine, right? The point of this is figuring out what you need to do to hit your goal that you just wrote at the top of your sheet, right? I have just figured out what it takes to cap in 12 weeks. Right? What it takes to get to the point where you could get 100% of your commissions in 12 weeks. If your goal is only to earn $40,000 next year, you have 2 choices. You could do this for the first 12 weeks, and then you could just really coast the rest of the year, right? You could do something completely else, or you could decide you were going to make 4 times what you wanted to make, right? You could change your goals. So you get to decide. You don't. I mean, the points doesn't say you have to do it all to get the points, right? This is just the roadmap to get you to a cap as quickly as possible.
I guess as long as you're intentional and trying.
As long as you decide what you want it to be. So just because I decided that it takes 25 conversations a day, right? Or I decided that you need 10 opportunities in command every week. You may decide you only want 2 opportunities in command every week, right? You just have to decide for you what you want this to look like, and then you have to commit to it. And that's what the daily huddle and the Friday morning gap call is a commitment. And Jay, you're right. It's accountability. Because if you have to tell me every day how many conversations you had yesterday, do you think that's going to change the number of conversations that you have?
Yes.
And if you change the number of conversations that you have, do you think that's going to change your results?
Yeah.
So is it easier to not make the calls if you don't have to tell someone? You guys know my story about Bold, right? We were in Bold and we were supposed to have 20 contacts a day, right? And there were some specific rules about what 20 contacts involved. And I got to the end of the day and I did not want to get a foul. You fouled. And if you got 3 fouls, you were out, right? And I paid $800 to be there. So I definitely didn't want to foul out. I had all kinds of things. I mean, I got kicked out of the grocery store because I had to make my numbers. I wouldn't go do that unless I had committed to it. And that's what I'm asking for here is I'm asking for you to figure out what you can commit to. So I'm going to email this to you guys.
Oh, good. I was just about to ask that.
Yeah, I'm absolutely going to email this to you guys. And I'm going to email it to you with a commitment. And if you don't want to participate, that's fine. You can still be in productivity coaching. You can still follow your guidelines in your contract and do whatever it is that you want. But if you really think that it would be a really cool thing that by June, if you had met your annual goals, right? If you really thought it'd be cool that by September you'd hit your annual goals, or if you think it'd be really cool just to make sure, guarantee absolutely that you're going to hit your annual goal by the end of next year, then I encourage you to commit to something, right?
I have a question.
Yes.
I don't mean to interrupt. So with my specific goals, would I have to hire, if it's all coming in like that as quickly in 12 weeks, would I have to hire like a transaction coordinator or someone to help out with those types of things?
Well, I don't know what model you're in the KW My Way, but in the supported model, the transaction coordinator is built in. And in the enhanced model, I know that I haven't talked to Jessica because I was on vacation last week, but that's pretty much up and ready to go. So the answer is no, you're not going to have to hire a transaction coordinator as long as you want to use my leverage, because it's like, I'm not sure. Let's say it's less than $300 per transaction and they'll take care of it for you.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Jessica is up and running. I spoke to her last week, so she is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know she's been running the supported model. I didn't know she'd added the enhanced model yet, but yeah. So, and they are awesome. I mean, Natalie's not on here because Natalie is not feeling well today, but she's had her first deal. James isn't on here either, but they've both had their first transactions run through my leverage with Jessica. So no, you're not going to have to hire.
So how do I get in touch with Jessica? Is there like a way to do that?
I will get with I have an appointment with Jessica this week, and we're going to figure that out, how that works out. But she's going to have an onboarding, and it's just forms that you fill out, and she'll definitely, I'm going to make a note that I send you guys an email to interact with each other.
And another thing, so when I was on the team, it was similar to this, but just not exact. We just had daily calls at 10 o'clock, Monday through Friday. But with this one, they had us print out something. I know you all wouldn't be able to see it, but it's like 20 contacts a day, 15 minutes of like self-improvement, like role playing, script practice, an hour of purposeful lead gen, an hour of follow-up, one appointment per day, one database ad per day, and one social media post per day. So this is very similar to what the expectations was when I was on a team.
So whatever the team was, the way I would assume that worked out, Keisha, is they figured out what their goals were, right?
Mm-hmm.
I set this based off of the goal of capping.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is the goal. The goal here, this has been written. The goal is 12 weeks to cap. Okay. So capping means something different to different people. For instance, Anu's on a team, so she's going to cap at a different level. But I broke it down at the end, so you have pretty much an idea. So let's just say this is the plan to earn $35,000 every quarter. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you this, and then I'm going to send you a blank, right? Where you are going to set your intentions for script practice, for conversations. You see these things in red? These things in red are the important things that we do every day that are dollar productive or that are necessary to be successful. Script practice may not be dollar productive immediately, but I promise you it is very dollar productive. Gary Keller, there's a reason why, they say you're supposed to script practice every day. There's a reason why. That's not because they think it's funny, or they think that that's a funny thing to have people do. It's because it's what successful people do. So script practice, conversations, opportunities, right? We have to have a pipeline. This is building our pipeline. That's the opportunities. We have to have, I've added the Facebook Lives or the open houses. Maybe neither one of those things are something that you want to do. And maybe instead, Shelley, you want to do one wedding something. I mean, this is just a roadmap. This is just a playbook, right? If you think about it, when they run a play, when they're playing a game, they have a playbook, right? And this is just a play in a playbook that's going to tell you what to do to be successful. The 10 handwritten notes. And if you have never written handwritten notes and you think in your mind they aren't going to make a difference, try it for 12 weeks, right? Try it for 12 weeks and see if it changes things, because it will, right? We've talked about how people feel when they get things in the mail. Our goal here is to get to the point where we have 200 contacts in our database. Remember how our database pays us back, right? That we're consistently communicating with the database. That's our best source of business and revenue. And we have to have appointments. If we don't have appointments, then we aren't getting contracts. And if we're not getting contracts, we're not getting to closing table.
I see it for me. It would be a what I would call at this point an extreme challenge for me, because I'm looking at some of these things and I'm at about a fourth of what those levels are. So if I did it, I know I would have to really be challenged. For instance, conversations, I probably average 3 hours a day on lead gen, and I may get a hold of 6 people. So I'm going to have to, if I did it, I would have to shorten my conversations and figure out how to get that done and still be as efficient as, or be a lot more efficient.
Or add a source of conversations, perhaps, Armand.
Like what?
Could you add a source of conversations?
Like what?
Well, I would have conversations at the grocery store. I have purposeful conversations at the coffee shop.
I tried to do that, and at least where I go to the grocery store, a lot of people just tend to ignore you. So, you know, they might nod their head or something like that. But
how about a networking group? Shelly, how many networking groups do you go to a month?
I'm in two chamber groups and one BNI. No, it's 2 chamber groups, a BNI, and a wedding group. So 4 groups. BNI meets every week, so that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, probably 9 of those, and then I do other chamber meetings. So we'll say probably 15 a month.
So if you had a goal to do 120 conversations a week, how many of your conversations every week do you think you have through your networking instead of through lead generation or cold calling? Or
I actually have a ton, and I didn't realize it until right now. Because I'm in the same boat with Armand, you know, I'll make calls, spend all this time, and I won't have many just because, you know, people don't answer the phone or whatever. But I do have a ton of conversations in these networking events, and I never really thought about it.
So if we don't think about it, are we intentional?
We are not intentional. And we are now, though.
If we think that that's a conversation that we need to be intentional about, what will we might do different in that conversation?
What would we do differently?
Yes. How might that conversation be different if we were intentional about it being part of our business?
I would think if you know.
Go ahead, Dean.
I would think that if you know the people that are going to be at those network groups at that point in time, if you knew where they live, you might do some research on their neighborhood. So that way you could say what their numbers are, what's sold in their neighborhood, et cetera, and just have an informed conversation.
Yes. How about before we got on the networking call, if we looked up what the market stats were the night before or the day of, and so we could throw it out there and say, oh, by the way, did anybody know that our, you know, average days on market, you know, increased last month by 23%. So if you've ever thought about selling, you know, the seller's market might be coming to an end. Like, could we be more intentional about the conversations that we had? If we go to the grocery store and inevitably somebody's going to say, well, you see why I get this all the time, right? People say to me, oh, are you a realtor? Those of you that have seen my car, what's it say on the back of my car? Like this big, it says Carla has the key, right? People say, are you a realtor or a locksmith? And that's a whole other story. So they say, are you a realtor? And I say, yes. And they say, how's the market? Right? I need to know what the answer to that is. I need to have that, you know? If I don't wear this and they don't ask and they say, oh, well, what do you do? I have to have my elevator pitch, right? You guys have an elevator pitch. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. You know, you got to have something short and simple that isn't, well, I'm a realtor. You know, I'm a matchmaker. I help buyers I've helped people find their perfect home, right? I'm a matchmaker. Whatever your your elevator pitch is. So if we become more intentional in our daily lives, we'll get our conversations in without actually trying. Armand, I'm sure you don't go to the beauty salon, but for the rest of you, or Dean, when you go to the beauty salon, when you
I talk to my wife when she cuts my hair.
there you go. But you know, there's so many different opportunities. All right, Jeff Elliott is in the South office. I don't know if any of you guys have met Jeff Elliott, but Jeff Elliott had, I'm not sure, but he had heart surgery in the last couple of weeks, pretty major heart surgery. The week before last, before I went on vacation, I did a career night. And at the career day, you know, informational session, there was a girl on there with his nurse's assistant. So he's in the hospital getting ready to have heart surgery, talking to his nurse's assistant about becoming a realtor, and gave her the link to career day so she would come to career day, because he's intentional about building his profit share tree. He has sent me probably 3 or 4 waitresses, right? The people that wait on him at breakfast. He has conversations with them about being in Keller Williams, and he gives them, so he is prepared. He has the link for career day, and he knows when the very next one is. And if you want to do that, that's great. Please do that as well. But the point of this is that he's intentional when he goes out about his daily life, right? Because he loves what he does, and he wants to incorporate this into his life. So Armand, I understand 25 conversations might be a lot, but if you started counting them, you might be surprised.
Okay.
How about your mailman? Have you ever talked to your mailman?
No, he doesn't get out of his truck, and he just goes from box to box and shoving things in. He doesn't stop for anybody.
You're not ordering enough Amazon.
You got to meet him at the mailbox.
How about a handwritten note? Jay, is it acceptable? I know it's not acceptable to put things in the mailbox that don't have a postage on it, but can you write a letter to your mail carrier and put it in your mailbox?
All mailmen love to get gifts from their from not the client, but from the customer. They all love it.
So if you put an envelope in your mailbox with a handwritten note and a $5 Starbucks card, right?
A bottle of water.
A bottle of water. There you go. Okay.
Yeah,
they'll love that.
I used to give my mailman at the daycare. I used to give him popsicles.
Popsicles.
Yeah, in the summertime, I meet him at the door and give him popsicles.
We left our mail carrier like a gift card for Christmas, and she wrote a thank you note and left us and just said how much it was appreciated. So
yes, I always give gift cards for Christmas as well. So yeah, they like that.
But the point is, think of all the different ways in our lives. If we set the intention of having 25 conversations, okay, maybe they don't have to be phone conversations. I said at the end, they can be text. They can be, as long as they're two-way, right? It has to be I can blast out to 120 people and say I'm done, right? It has to be an actual conversation. But if we think about all is required of a conversation is that somehow we throw in there that we're a realtor, or that we'd like to help them with their realtor needs, or that if they have any needs at all to let us know, like we give them a reason to get back with us. That's all we have to do to be intentional. So let's say that you guys were on board and you guys committed to 25 conversations a day. Okay, so you've committed to 25 conversations a day. Do you think that's going to change your intention, your level of intention? If you're keeping a tally and you have to report the end of the day or the next day how many conversations that you had, and you only had 24, are you going to figure out the 25th?
Yep.
That's the point of having goals, and it's the point of accountability, right? So I'm going to send you a blank one, and I'm going to have you, if you want to participate, all you have to do to participate and be included in the party and the points and the prizes, all you have to do is commit to something. And you don't have to commit to my plan. You just have to commit to a plan. Okay.
I have a couple things.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How are we recording our numbers?
You are going to have a Google form. It's going to start on Monday, and you're going to have a Google sheet every day just to plug it in.
Okay, and that will be like how many contacts you did per day, like how long you lead in, things like that.
It's going to be the number of conversations that you had, the number of opportunities that you created, your social media. If you did a Facebook Live or an open house, how many handwritten notes and how many contacts you have in your database and how many appointments you had.
Okay, and do we have access to see like how the week went? So if we did our numbers every day, can we see that?
I'll figure that out.
Okay.
This first 12 weeks, we're going to do this together, right? You're going to have to, okay, I did not tell you this, but my theme, and I decided instead of doing a theme for the whole year, I was going to do my theme in the 12 weeks as well for myself, because I have my own 12-week plan in place, right, of what I want. And my first quarter theme for myself is grace. So I don't necessarily have all the answers right now. We're going to try this out. I am not a tech person. We're going to use Google Forms. My understanding is Google Forms is going to create a spreadsheet. I hope it works. And then at the end of the week, we won't. If not, I'll figure something else out. But yeah, you're definitely going to know what you did, and you're going to know how everybody did so we can celebrate together.
Okay. And another thing is I did a lot of networking the past few years, just in general, just to see what else is going on. Cause India's changed a lot. So the COVID, I feel like, has greatly impacted my networking as far as getting out and, talking to people. How would I be able to navigate trying to network while a lot of businesses are closed that I used to go to, and then they don't have as many networking group meetups?
Well, there probably aren't as many, but I think people have gotten creative. I know some of the networking groups that I was in on a regular basis now has an online group. Unfortunately, Tamika just left us, but she started her own around the Miracle Morning, right?
Yeah.
So figure out something that you're passionate about and create a networking group. Shelly, you're the big networker. What share here? Help out.
So I was just going to say, Keisha, are you a member of any chambers of commerce there in the Indy area?
I'm not a member, but I've been to a lot of their networking, like free events.
Yeah. So in the Louisville area, we probably have 4 or 5 really active chambers, and of those active chambers, only one is active online.
Okay.
So I would reach out to the chambers and see, and listen, if you want to show up for an event, they're not going to turn you away. I would see what they've got for online events and tell them that, you really want to just see what they have to offer and see how you can get links. But I would just reach out to each chamber or social organization, whether it's like Rotary or whatever, Kiwanis, and just see what they've got for online presence.
Okay. So just basically kind of look into some of those and see if they have like some Zoom meetings or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone on to meetup.com? Oh, sorry, Renata.
I'm sorry. So Keisha, you know what? So I was online at on our site, the Keller Williams site this week, and so Gary Keller was interviewing. He's a social worker, so I thought about Cheryl when she said, or someone said that they were. But anyway, she spoke about the challenges of social. She spoke about the challenges of COVID. And she gave really good advice as far as what she's done this year. And of course, she's in California, so she grossed $45 million. But he was asking her how to do it, and it was only like 29 minutes. And I really, really, really enjoyed her because she really gave some key pointers on how she is doing this year, not last year, this year in the midst of COVID. And that really helped me this week too.
Is it on KW Connect?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yep. It's as soon as you log in, she's on.
It's the live. It actually, up till yesterday, I thought it was on the homepage of your command every week.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The homepage. Yeah.
He does that live segment, but you can go find the Gary Keller interviews as well.
That was so inspirational because she spoke about the challenges, but she turned it, the lemon, like they say, she made lemonade from lemons. So she's doing really well, you know, because sometimes out of problems, we figure out something else. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I'll check that out. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Also meetup.com. So if you look on meetup.com, that's where a lot of people, I mean, obviously there's Eventbrite and all of those, but meetup.com has those different things. I mean, there's a group of people that knit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a group of people that I don't even know what. I mean, there's all kinds of groups of people. You think of any one thing that binds people together, right? There's a, you know, single mom group. There's a, you know, working mom group. There's
walking groups, or if you're, you know, if you like to walk or run, or, I mean, there's all kinds of fitness groups, at least in this area.
I think I should expand my network, because I was in a lot of different networking groups, but I was able to just meet up because they'll have like beer stuff or, you know, drinking stuff, but people go out to, you know, do those things. So I think I should expand it a little bit. At first I thought Meetup was a dating site, but it's not.
Maybe not. No. Well, it is a different kind of dating.
Keisha, I don't know if you're a churchgoer, but a lot of churches have groups for different activities. So it might be like singles groups or parents groups or different things like that. So there could be opportunities if you attend a church or some type of, you know, temple or whatever. There could be opportunities there as well.
Yeah, they shut our church down, so they're not even doing anything.
I would suggest you make a list of all the things that interest you and then Google those things. So if you like to needlepoint, you type in needlepoint, Indianapolis needlepoint networking groups. You know, you'll find somebody, right? You'll find them. But if you're genuine and you come from something that is something you're passionate about, look, now we've added something to our lives, right? So we're going to get together with people that have a similar interest than us. Mm-hmm. So we've done business and added something else to it.
Okay.
All right. So how do you, oh, go ahead.
When does this program begin? Next
Monday.
Week? Okay. All right. Super.
Sorry, we're a little delayed. I really wanted to roll it out in December, but like I said, this was challenging to put together. It is, you know, to figure out what would get you to a cap. So, and the Google Sheet was a little challenging. So we've got it. We'll start Monday. Maybe the first week will be this is Grace. The first week might be a little bit of a slow rollout because, you know, not everybody's on here today. So I'm going to send the video out so people can see what it's about. And I'm excited. I mean, if you guys commit to whatever you commit to, I promise you will be more successful than if you don't commit. I guarantee it. There are very few things that I would guarantee, but I would stake a lot. I would stake pretty much everything I have on the fact that if you commit to it, you're going to be more successful than if you don't commit to something.
Okay, I have another thing. As far as doing those things, but then taking time to yourself and like exercising or something like that, how do you navigate through those types of things? And you have a kid and kids on Zoom, and they need help, and you got to stop what you're doing, you know, because it's a lot.
And the you know, the kids at home thing, I'm sorry. I sympathize. That has got to be painful, and I'm sorry. But I highly recommend time blocking. Okay. So I think I've showed you this to you guys before, but I'll just be super transparent. And I haven't even looked at next week's calendar because I got in late last night. So, but here's a time blocked calendar. Do you see this big red spot right here? That's personal time, right? So that's where I've time blocked in my personal time. And then I have time blocked in recruiting. That's my lead gen time. I have time blocked in a business planning block. That's my business planning block time. If I were to have an appointment that would come up and I needed to do something that wasn't recruiting related, that was in between 1 and 3 o'clock on Thursday, I would have to find someplace else in my calendar to put that recruiting time. So I might, if I knew I had to make an appointment here, I might have to over here from from 3 to 3:30, I might have to pop that over here, or it might have to replace something that's not an absolute, right? Something else would be absolute. Unfortunately, I know you can't time block your kids, and you know, but if you do, but to that degree, if you time block them though, you know, you have to do your work from 1 to 3, and mom has to do her work from 1 to 3, and then from 3 to 3:30 we're going to do something, the two of us. Like, you can time block your kids a little bit and set their expectations. Teach them how to time block. I mean, would that not be a brilliant thing with your children, that all of a sudden they know how to fit everything into their life? But Keisha, start with a time block, give yourself grace, and remember that your lead gen time, these things that we're committing to, they have to fit in somewhere. So if I'm supposed to do it from 9 to 11 and something interrupts it, now I've got to find that time somewhere else, right? I have to move it on my calendar. I can't take it off. There's no deleting of these important things.
So the important things, you have to commit to those, but then you can move everything else around. I think my daughter does really well with that because she's in gymnastics. That's also a little bit of a challenge, but a great networking. But it's like, I don't know, maybe I'm just overwhelmed because it's just, I'm trying to put everything together all at the same time for the month. And yesterday I had a showing, and she had a doctor's appointment, and then she had her violin one-on-one practice, and I had my showing in between. So I had to do all this driving, and I'm like, I need a nanny. So I'm like, okay, what in the world? How are these people doing this?
But the
And
other
I was
thing
late.
with your showing, the other thing with your showing it, well, there's two things with your showing. One is, remember that if a buyer says they want to see a house at 3 o'clock and you're not available at 3 o'clock, and you say, I already have an appointment at 3 o'clock, I'd be happy to show it to you at 5, chances are they're going to be okay with that, right? So that's number one. The second thing is, if you get in a bind, you have a whole network of people that are your family. Even though you're not on a team anymore, you are on a team, because productivity coaching is a team. And I bet Armand wouldn't mind opening a door for you if you had a buyer that needed to. There's plenty of people. Anu, I mean, you're going to find people that are going to be able to help you. Maybe it costs $25 or whatever, you know, but buy him a coffee, whatever the deal is, whatever it works out. But the thing is, we have to just relax a little bit. We have to be flexible, except for our commitment. Right? So we have to figure out what's actually going to get us to our goal. And those are the things that we don't delete.
I didn't factor in drive time. So I'm like, okay, 3:30 to 4. I'm like, oh, shoot, it's going to take me 15 minutes to get over here. I didn't factor that in. So that's a lesson learned.
Armand?
I noticed on your time blocking calendar, you had overlaps.
Well, so the overlaps aren't intentional. What happens with the overlap is that, so for instance, there was something that came up on Friday. Here, I'll show you. So on Friday, I'm debating this. And this is just a matter of me debating this and deciding what's more important, because this is my personal time, right? Now, my personal time, I always have these two that interfere with my personal time, and it's just how it is. This is actually personal. This is a personal meeting that fits into my personal time, but this is not. This is an educational opportunity on Friday that I'm pretty excited about, and I'm debating, and I'm going to see how the rest of my week goes, and can I add a little bit of free time in here so that I could do that class? And if not, that class is going to be recorded, and then I can do that. So that's what gets this here is somebody put this on my calendar. So somebody sent me a calendar of something, and I already have Armand scheduled. So this isn't going to happen because Armand scheduled. I've left it here though, because it will have a recording, and I want to remind myself to get that recording so that I know. So, and these blue ones, these are something where Calendarly's put something on my calendar, and I haven't looked at it yet because I did just get back from vacation yesterday. I hadn't looked at my calendar. It was a dangerous thing to show you my calendar before I looked at it. But the point there is, you can see my purple. That's my lead gen time, right? And I have to have that there. All right. So how do you feel? Are you excited about a 12-week plan? Are you excited about figuring out how to hit your goal in a 12-week block of time?
I feel excited.
Armand's laughing because he's not thinking it can happen.
Oh, I'm going to try, but it looks like it's going to be a stretch goal to me. But I hear what you're saying, and I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to, one of the things I definitely need to do more of is be more intentional. So, and I think that if I can get myself to be more intentional, the only thing is I have a heck of a time trying to get up in the morning. I am not, I used to be a morning person. Now I'm not really either side of the coin. And I'm not sure that I can make the 8:15. I'll see.
Okay, so you can't make the 8:15. That means the night before you have to text me your numbers. That's all.
Well, I have good intentions. It's just, can I get myself to to do what I need to do? So I think I'm gonna go on and try it, but I'm not sure that I can do.
Oh, excuse
Well,
me.
what you can
I
do is
need
you
to
can
be
commit
more
to whatever you're comfortable with. So if 8:15 doesn't work for you, some people on here have jobs, right? 8:15 isn't going to work. You may say, I can't do 8:15, but I'm going to report my numbers every day at 5 o'clock during open office hours, right? That's fine. I just gave you a plan. Now I'm going to give you a blank, right? I gave you a plan. I'm going to give you a blank and a commitment. And so I need you to come up with your own plan and just commit to it. So it's not about committing to my plan. It's that I'm adding to my calendar that I'm going to be on at 8:15 Monday through Friday. I'm going to be on at 8:15 for you guys for 15 minutes every morning for anybody that needs me to report their numbers for accountability. That's my commitment to you. Your commitment back may be, I'm not doing 8:15. I don't care what you're doing. I'm going to come on at 5.
The point I was trying to make was that I'm going to do it. I'm going to try to be intentional. I'm going to take the challenge, I guess, is what I'm saying. And I should be saying things a little bit more positive than I am. But I guess I'm a little overwhelmed, but I'm still going to.
Well, you got to take some time to think about it. And here's the thing is they go in 12-week increments. So we do whatever you commit to, you're committing for 12 weeks. At the end of the 12 weeks, you get to reevaluate. Like, where did this put me? Did this get me where I wanted to be? Okay, now I'm going to make this adjustment. So my second 12 weeks, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Or that was freaking awesome. I'm going to duplicate exactly what I did because look where I got, right? And so I'm going to do the same thing for the second 12 weeks. So that's the point of this book. And that's why I highly recommend that if you haven't read this, that you put this on your growth plan, the 12-week year.
Who's it written by?
It is written by Brian P. Moran, Moran, and Michael Lennington. And it says, get more done in 12 weeks than other do in 12 months.
Carla, where do you get all the Keller Williams gear at?
Me? Online.
Or period. Is there a certain website?
There's the Red Store. I don't know. I just type in whatever. I mean, honestly, these came off of eBay.
Okay. I was been looking since you had it on. I'm sitting here looking at a sweatshirt with a hood on it. But I guess Keller Williams don't make a hoodie. So
they probably do.
They do. They have hoodies.
They do?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the Red Store?
No. I got it from a Bold.
Yeah.
Just Bold
just Google Keller Williams hoodies and it'll come up. Somebody's making them. This reminds me, before we go, we got 6 minutes before we go. Family reunion is in February. Family reunion is such a gift this year. So family reunion last February, I went to Dallas and it cost me, I added it up. It cost me $1,734 to go to family reunion last year, all in. Of course, I won't share hotel rooms. So mine might've been a little bit more expensive than you would have been because I like having my own hotel room. This year it's $109, I think, or something thereabouts.
Isn't that online too?
It is virtual. And and I've been gone for a week, so I don't know what they've planned, but I know that the offices have been planning opportunities for the group sessions for us to social distantly get together, something like that. So there's going to be some opportunity. I'll tell you what, Mega Camp was amazing in the fall virtually, and I had such a hang up about it. I had such limiting beliefs because I love going to conferences and being around people and the group euphoria of it all. I love that. And I really did not think I would get that in a virtual platform. And I loved Mega Camp, and Family Reunion is always better than Mega Camp. So I don't often recommend that you spend money, but I would really recommend that you work Family Reunion into your schedule. So awesome. All right. Anybody else need anything today?
Yeah, I have a quick question. I think Keller Williams does an amazing job of offering all these opportunities and classes and everything. But sometimes they don't explain what everything is. I don't know what Family Reunion is. Everybody's talking about it, but I don't know what it is.
Well, Family Reunion is pretty much like if you've ever been to a conference for a profession, like whatever, I don't know, did Famous Dave's have conferences where all of the store owners got together and shared ideas? And
GM's conference.
Yes. So it's that. Family Reunion is that. It's just pretty big because Keller Williams is pretty big.
Right.
You're gonna get exposed to Keller Williams International, which is really cool. You're gonna get, international, like not our home office international. I mean, like all around the world, the people all around the world. So you're going to get to hear little bits about what other places Keller Williams is doing in other parts of the world, which is going to be really awesome. You get to hear from, much like Mega Camp, you're going to get to hear from the people that do this at a very high level. Renata just mentioned the Gary Keller's interview that he does on a regular basis, the life interviews. He's going to interview people that are doing spectacular things, and you're going to get inspired by those. And then there are going to be breakout sessions, and you get to decide, what do I need to learn? Shelley, there'll probably be a breakout session on networking at a high level. There's going to be breakout sessions on working with seniors, breakout sessions on working with first-time home buyers. You're going to be able to pick and choose then from a variety of things. And then there's going to be big group things that affect everyone. So that's how it works. I hope that was a good explanation. And it's really what it is it's that Keller Williams culture. So it's that culture of sharing. So if somebody has done anything that was successful, it's going to be there. But if you want to learn more about Command, you're going to have an opportunity to learn from the best of the best with Command. If you want to learn about being on a team, there's probably going to be something out there that's going to be about Boomtown, right? That will still be out there. The Boomtown will probably sponsor something, and you could learn something about Boomtown. The problem with Family Reunion for me is always picking, right? There's so much opportunity, and picking and choosing, that's the hardest part. And the thing we don't have, normally there's like a vendor. So normally, Jay, you'd be able to buy a lot of what I've bought in person because the vendors are there. But
how many days, how long does it last?
I think it's 3 days, but that's
okay.
I'm not. Hang on. I'm going to pull this up right now. I think I'd emailed it to you guys, but.
Jay, there's a logo place in Franklin, and you can actually even order online with them. I can get you I've got a catalog here, so I can get you the information if you want.
I buy my stuff off of Amazon. Like I've got some Amazon shirts from Keller Williams.
Okay.
There's probably more places than you can even imagine. It's the 15th through the 18th, Renata.
Okay. Thanks.
My suggestion is it's not only like you do a logo on the front of your shirt, but you put it across your back. I made that mistake. I made a hoodie.
Oh, that's smart.
Red Keller Williams hoodie. I just put it on the front. I don't get anybody asking, are you a realtor or anything like that. So if I put it also on the back, then I'm like in the grocery store, I might be less intentional, but at the same time, I might get more people asking me. So it would
Hey,
be
Armand, how long were you on a team, if I may ask? How long were you on a team?
about, I don't know, about a year.
Okay, thanks.
But Carla's team is Carla's a lot more intentional than my team lead was. And even though he got somebody else in on the team, I've gotten more education through Carla than I did on the team that I was on. So not all teams are team focused or educational focused or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I mean, they tried to be, but they weren't as effective, I guess, as Carla is.
Right.
So, my team might be different than somebody else's. I don't know what Keisha would say. Keisha was on my team for a while too. I don't know if she's still on it or not, but.
Okay.
I learned what I needed to learn.
Here's the thing about
right.
Here's the thing about teams or anything, right? We have to figure out what it is that we want, what the value is, and then we have to figure out what we have to pay in order to get that value, right?
And what works for us.
Yeah, and everybody's different. So, but thank you, Armand. That's very sweet.
Well,
You got kicked.
That's all.
Awesome, guys. Well,
You got kicked out of a grocery store?
Pardon?
You got kicked out of a grocery store?
You've not heard that story? Yes, I got kicked out of the grocery store.
We'll talk about it on Thursday.
I did. And the lesson there is if you have to do that, don't go to the grocery store where you always shop, because then they followed me around for months.
So.
Yes. Well, I am going to go and unpack. I still haven't unpacked. I have a suitcase sitting on my desk or by my bed. So I need to unpack but I am happy to be back and I'm excited. I am so excited about the year that we are all collectively going to have together this year. And I hope that you guys, when you start thinking about this 12-week plan, I hope you get as excited about it as I am, because I think that it is going to be the game changer for all of us. So I'm excited. All right. Have an awesome, awesome Saturday and go Colts.
Thanks, Carla.